Yo, 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 what is going down? It is the Fantasy Football Show. We are live here today on August 26th. Couple more weeks until the bullets start to become real. But in the meantime, in between time, you know what it is, man. It's me, it's your man, Johnny Main, brother from another mother, Nick Wilcox. What it do, man?
What up? What up? What up? What's happening out here in these streets? This is a pretty cool, critical episode we got going on today. So definitely fired up, ready to rock and roll, and ready to throw it down a bit. You know, as we getting closer to big draft day weekend, Labor Day weekend as well. Like it's getting the nitty gritty for some folks. So we're here to help you out.
That's what it is, man. That's what it is. We had the first day of school today, man. So that was that was all in itself a thing. And then come home, man. I got a sick kid on top of everything, man. And then my neighbor comes down the road looking for a signature. Good guy, man. I like him. To preface it, I know how you are, Nick. I know you like, but like good guy, man. Looking for some signatures for somebody running for local office, and then just out here getting old, man. I told you about the sciatica deal, man, today, man. It's broke me down, man. So it's been a hard day here at the Johnny Main camp, man. So hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit better, man, for sure. So all right, so enough about me, man, and all the things I got going on. We'll get right to it. So first thing, man, we got is we're talking about players who we think will break out. So just for preface, today we'll only be talking about quarterbacks and running backs. Like we'll get to wide receivers and tight end on a different show because you know how it goes. Sometimes we'll be in the homie, we can get busy and be out here chatting it up for forever. So what up, Haywood? What I mean? Loving what we do out here, loving what we do. But players who we think will break out, man. Who's one of your guys?
When it comes down to it, I think we're talking about quarterback in terms of like a breakout. There's definitely a collection of guys that I can get to. But mainly it's a guy that will have just some consistency for you. So a very high floor and could potentially have a little ceiling just because of the upcoming schedule, the team he's on, and overall what's coming up. Jared Goff is someone I'm actually I have as far as someone pegging to have a breakout. It's more about just like the situation that Jared Goff has had, right? Jared Goff has overall had just in general, I wouldn't say he's not only had a cakewalk, but he's just been consistent, right? Back-to-back years of at least 34 touchdowns through the air. In the last 4 seasons, he's averaged at least 4,400 yards passing through the air. And yeah, I understand he's not a rushing quarterback or anything of that nature, but it's more what happens with the strategy of just in general this year with quarterback is obviously there's a lot of different ways you can go. I just feel like Jared Goff is someone that you get as a QB 16. I am comparing to someone like a Matt Stafford, actual guy that can give you more of not only just a high floor, but can provide you for more ceilings. And obviously, without David Montgomery now in the fold, I think that unlocks a little bit more for the passing game. And if you're telling me Laporta's already dealing with something, I think they obviously will have to fall on Amon-Ra, Jameson, and Gibbs really to short to not only carry the load, but also because of the easier schedule that they have upcoming this year. I think Jared Goff's someone that really, in a ways, goes undrafted in some ways. And I think he could be someone that breaks out later into the year in terms of where he comes from. And he's always, like I said, been consistent. If you're in a super flex league as well, he's someone that overall is definitely a guy I'm targeting and that ended up getting as well. So that's someone from a breakout perspective that I'm on in terms of where he's consistently been at. And then how much more he can improve. I think he could definitely throw for 40 touchdowns this year pretty easily. Obviously, like I said, it comes down to, be a little bit more harder in general. But where he's going in drafts, it's take the stab at it. Why not? That's for breakout in terms of quarterback. When it comes to running back, it's someone that you're familiar with, Johnny. It's someone you're pretty familiar of.
Probably.
He he wears a color that you're familiar with, purple, and he's someone that goes as he's my RB35, but he consistently goes in the RB40s. That's Jordan Mason. Right?
Oh
Yeah, like with Jordan
man.
Mason, bro, it's more about just like we all know Aaron Jones is like kind of on the tip of the end, right? It's more about like he'll potentially get some looks at the goal line, but he'll have some receiving work. But honestly, can we really trust that? And then with Murray and this Minnesota offense, it's like we're banking on them to bounce back. I do think George Mason, when it comes down to it, he's going to have the first and second down role, the in between the tackles role. So if we're expecting in general an expectation for Minnesota to bounce back, I do think Jordan Mason finds himself in a unique opportunity to take advantage of that and to punch more touchdowns in this year. So I think Jordan Mason's someone that is getting overlooked pretty easily because it's ambiguous backfield. People are talking about Aaron Jones. People are talking about Claiborne. And the Minnesota offense in general, it hinges upon Murray. But if we're buying into the KOC offense and we're buying for them to score more, I do think that Jordan Mason is going to be a beneficiary to that.
Well, ironically enough, we did not share notes before this show. And I'm not a big note sharer because I always just love the natural react. So I'll continue on with Jordan Mason, who also, I wouldn't say he's my breakout, but like I have him pegged as like in a different space. So like I'll talk about him in the space that I have him. I have him in the space as a sleeper is where I have him at. So like breakout, you have him as a breakout. I have him as a sleeper.
Yep.
And so for me, like just a couple of like quick nuggets that like really stood out because obviously, you did a great job like talking about them. Minnesota won 8 games last year. In the 8 games that they won, Mason had 6 touchdowns in that space, right? So kind of to your point, like if you believe that the Minnesota Vikings are going to be better, which it's very ironic that like, these conversations just kind of keep evolving, right? Like the conversation about Kyler Murray and the Vikings with D-Bro, some of the content like we put out, Instagram, TikTok, X, Book of Faces, you have to like think that the Vikings are going to be better than they were last year, and they still won 8 games. So like I think like no matter how we look at it, right? Like if that's the case, you talked about like the passing work, like situationally, if the Vikings are up in it, and if they don't trust Kyler Murray that much, Jordan Mason should get more work in that space, right? And then week 16 for him, he had 14 carries for 94 yards in a winning effort as well. Averaged 4.8 yards per carry last season. And this was the part that I thought was like really, really intriguing. He had more rushing yards last year than some of your favorite running backs that are going ahead of him. Blake Corum, David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson. Bucky Irving, obviously, was banged up a little bit. Chuba Hubbard was banged up a little bit, like early on. But like Jordan Mason also basically missed 2 games, I believe. So like even in his worst situation, he still outproduced like very familiar names on this list. So like if I'm in that space, right, and I'm looking at like a build where like I went running back heavy and maybe address tight end, right? Jordan Mason fits the bill for me. As a running back too, depending on obviously like, what the situation is as far as roster goes. But like, yeah, Jordan Mason's absolutely a guy for me that's on the radar. So it's nice to know that we agree on that. And it's nice to know that like, we'll just have to try to beat each other to the punch to get him in these drafts here. So that'll be entertaining for sure. So for me, like the quarterback, I think, and I feel good about that actually, is going to break out this year. Kind of in a similar space, like for you, right? Like he's being drafted right along Jared Goff. And for me, like the guy is Brock Purdy. That's the guy for me. Yeah,
really?
man. Yeah, man. Everything that yeah, man, like everything
makes sense.
everywhere that I'm at with Trevor Lawrence is just a light version of Brock Purdy, is really all it is.
Yep.
Right? Like from weeks 13 to 17, he was QB5 on average. He came back like at the right time. Yeah, he played against some suspect defenses, right? But as we always talk about, if you play against suspect defenses, the job is to go out there and deliver against those caliber of defense. And he did that. And obviously he missed some time last year, right, with an injury. But if we look at like the last 2 years that he was the full blown starter, right, like not including like that rookie season, on average he was quarterback six. He was quarterback six on average. Yes, Brock Purdy. You're right, Haywood. So like yeah, so like you're telling me right that like you can get like a QB6 caliber type of player, um, you know, right around the same space that you're getting Jared Goff. Like that's cool. And oh by the way, in 2024, his last full season as the quarterback, he was actually in the top 12 as far as rushing yards go for the position. So like he's currently going right around the 11th quarter, or excuse me, the 11th round in drafts, and he's the 15th quarterback that's going off the board. Like, and we know what that offense is going to be. Like we know what it's going to be. So like kind of like your Jared Goff take, right? Like Brock Purdy gives you a little bit of mobility. So like I like Brock Purdy in this space. I liked him last year. I drafted him in a couple places last year. Obviously, the substation or whatever that is there in San Francisco. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but the rushing yards moved down right because of the toe injury, and even Mac Jones was even able to step in there and be respectable. So like Brock Purdy's a guy for me that like everybody knows, like you know Caleb and Trevor Lawrence, like Trevor Lawrence is my Caleb Williams of last year, but like if I had to move off of Trevor Lawrence and pick a different quarterback that I'm, you know, low key high on, it absolutely would be Brock Purdy for me. And then as far as breakouts go, we're talking about, you know, you had mentioned breakouts and what player. It's still Chase Brown for me, man. Like, and I know that's probably too easy of a too
Yeah,
easy
it
of a
is.
take.
What the heck?
It's too, but like, I'm gonna make it
Outside of our
not easy.
criteria.
No, no. Breakout is breakout. Sleeper is different. Breakout. I'm calling it right now. Chase Brown. Chase Brown is going
You've
to
been on
be.
this all summer.
Yeah, I've been on it all summer. So like this is the show. So I'm gonna say it.
We've
Chase
been
Brown.
on it all summer.
I listen. We, me, I, whoever, man. Like don't like cool. Like whatever. Like for me, like right now, Chase Brown. Chase Brown will finish the year as a top 5 running back if all the chips stay in place as far as injuries
Yeah.
for Cincinnati. And I think, you know, we could say the same thing about a guy like Christian McCaffrey, right? Like, hey, like as long as he stays upright, like he'll be, you know, he'll be one of the best running backs in the league. But like, man, there's week 7 to week 18, 5.2 yards per carry, right? Like that's a far cry from the 2.7 that he had. His snap rate is 10th among what was 10th among running backs, like in that space. Like it's just there. Like everything, the writing is on the wall for it. And like things get like really, really unique when you look at like how the middle of the first round goes or how like the turn goes. Things get really unique when you look at that. And for me, obviously, like we know the two big guys like up front, right? With Bijan and Jameer. But like after those two guys, like Chase Brown, if you wanted to pull the trigger, I ain't mad at you. If you wanted to go James Cook, I ain't mad at you. I think like Chase Brown for me slightly nudges out James Cook, but like I love James Cook just as much as I love Chase Brown
Yeah.
in the early rounds. So
Yeah.
like either one of those guys for me, man. But Chase Brown is the guy that I'm gonna hang my hat on going into this season because everybody hung their hat on him last year. And obviously it didn't work out through the first 7 weeks due to injury. But I'm not afraid to go back to the well because the process that I use, like, hey, the following year, it will hit. It will hit if there was unforeseen circumstances. And that's all that was last year was unforeseen circumstances. And if you rostered Chase Brown and you were in the playoffs, chances are you had a pretty good run on the back end of things. So for me, those are the guys for me. Like when we start to talk about, obviously I dipped into the sleeper pool because we were just talking about Jordan Mason. Right. But if we're talking about like breakout, give me Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has got top 5 potential QB written all over him. Top 5, top 6. Chase Brown has top 5 running back written all over him as well. So those are my two guys as far as breakouts go.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Technically, someone else I need to add because correction, like Mason technically was a sleeper for me too instead of a breakout. The person I need to talk about is someone that's familiar on. If you've been following me for a while, is familiar in terms of how I view him. I just think he has the opportunity now to really, really bust it wide open. No homo. And that guy for me is DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift, let's talk about him, right? Like in an offense where we're expecting, Chicago to have, Ben Johnson offense, it's going to come together, right? Swift's being drafted right now as like the RB22. And realistically, like he's always finished as a top 20 RB. So you're telling me that he's going to be at a place where people are already kind of outside the top 20 running backs already. And now based on like his finishes, based on points per reception leagues, like you're telling me that DeAndre Swift is not someone we're considering. He finished as RB15 last year. Can he get inside the top 10? I think it's possible. In terms of how we see Chicago, if we expect them to really ramp it up. And again, like Swift, it's been bill of health the last 3 seasons. So I think it's something where talking about Kyle Monunga might not start, week 1 in general. And I'm sure there'll be a little bit more touches that go, Monunga's way and stuff. But if you're telling me that's the only real roadblock for DeAndre Swift to be a top 10 running back by season's end, give me DeAndre Swift where he's going, because he has an opportunity to not only be, an RB2 for your roster, like legitimate, like for most people, they're RB3s, but legitimate RB2, and you're telling me he has upside for usage to be an RB1, give me that all day, especially where he's going. So I expect him to be in a place where he could be playing with the real big dogs this upcoming season, have an opportunity to truly break out. We all know DeAndre Swift is decent between the tackles, can also catch passes out the backfield as well. And Caleb Williams seems to be more, precision than he obviously has been before Ben Johnson even got there. So wheels up for Swift. I just think he's going a little bit more disrespected in drafts because obviously people look at the dead zone, dead zone running backs and where he goes and stuff. But I think he's one of those profiled guys that can really break out where he goes in general. So,
all right. We got a question in the chat. My man Steven Gasky.
All right.
What up, man? Dynasty question: Lamar or Christian McCaffrey? What type of score? What type of what type of scoring format do we have, and like how many teams? Like, give us some more info on that so we can make sure we lace you up for sure, man.
For sure, please.
All right. Let's see here. So, next topic of conversation.
Dun dun dun.
Players who we think will bust.
Boy, well, I'll say this. Like, Jonathan Taylor was on this list for me last year, and things were going really well until the playoffs. Things were going really well until the playoffs. So I'll say, like, honestly, like, Jonathan Taylor just doesn't find him. I just don't find him on my rosters. Like, I just don't.
That's fair.
It just happens. I'm not saying he's like he'll be a complete bust, but I just where he goes at times, it's just like I just don't get my hands on him. So there's that, right? I think if Indianapolis, like if Daniel Jones is not looking healthy, not looking right, and then all of a sudden it looks weird, Jonathan Taylor's gonna be the guy that suffers. When it comes to bust, I hate to say this name. I can't stand in a way to say his name because before last year, coming into it, I had pretty high expectations for the guy. And I'm talking about Bucky Irving. The signing of Gainwell scares me. $14 million for a backup running back? Yeah, that doesn't give me confidence. Also, you got Sean Tucker, who is a natural running back, literally. And from a schematic standpoint, like when you're looking at Tampa Bay, like all those guys are somewhat eerily similar in measurements and sizes. So you're telling me Bucky Irving is going to lose some passing work to Gainwell already, right? Because that's what they keep on talking about at camp right now. That Gainwell has been the star. He's been catching a ton of passes out the backfield, all this. If you're telling me that's happening already, and you're telling me Sean Tucker is someone that is already, already a guy we were kind of already a little bit fearful of anyway because of his talent. From that perspective, I just can't get down with Bucky where he goes. Now, if he goes down the board and he's like someone as an RB3, then that kind of makes sense. But I would say in general, I'm just kind of steering away from him in general.
Okay. No, like I can definitely understand that part of it for sure as far as like being fearful of him. Like I think there was a stat that I seen last year that like absolutely turned me off to him. And I believe it was something along the lines of running backs under 200 pounds that had 250 carries or something of that nature. When that happened, they just did not they didn't do well the next season as far as holding up. So we'll bounce back to the question here in the chat too. Steven said it's a PPR league and it's a
Okay.
12-team league. So
So it's a
Lamar or Christian
PPR.
Dynasty PPR is what he's saying. So Lamar or Christian McCaffrey. I'm assuming he has to be losing draft picks too, as far as keeping one of these guys. So I mean, I think like just from like a longevity perspective, right? Like we all know like the end is coming near for Christian McCaffrey. And
Yeah.
then like we seen it last year as far as like the amount of volume, the amount of carries with Saquon Barkley, which I know Steve is a Philadelphia Eagles fan. So like we know the curse of 350. We know the curse of 350 is real. Um, and then but like also too, like you have to worry about Lamar Jackson in that same space too, because like he's not a spring chicken anymore. And like the things that he was able to do 6 years ago, like he can still do those things, but like again, like as an interdivision rival, like he's got to be upright whenever the playoffs are close or the season is the end of the season is around the corner. I'm very, 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 very interested to see how this offense looks. Just in general, like right, like it's going to be like a dramatic change. But I think like just from like the standpoint of like, all right, who's going to have more longevity on your roster? Lamar Jackson's going to have more longevity on your roster, and like
Definitely.
not knowing like what your running back room looks like. I don't want to just blindly say like just keep Lamar. So like if you can like type in like what your running back room looks like, that would be fire. So we can really give you like a really really solid answer. But like just on the surface of things, like it's Lamar Jackson. At least for me. I don't know how you feel about it, man.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think in terms of like longevity, you're talking about dynasty. Like you got to have your overall quarterback, like someone you need to rock with, someone you feel confident with, in the coming seasons, and you could definitely bet. Even if you're talking about winning, trying to go for a championship, like I think like when it comes down to it, like McCaffrey's such a beast, but the problem is like, is this the year? Just like we were
Right.
talking about Henry in the same space, is this the year? Where we're like, okay, like, is he going to be someone that is we're going to drop off this year? The production's not going to be there, or obviously the other thing, in, injury. So that's kind of like what, in general, what we have to worry about.
Yeah. So we were talking about busts before, like we got the question, which man, we appreciate the question, brother, for sure. Like if anybody else has got questions, please, man, keep firing them in the chat. We know draft season it's here. It's for most of us, it's this week, in the next week. But appreciate the question, Steve, for sure. So yeah, so talking about like bust, man, I hate using the phrase bust. I really do. Like I wanted to talk about it for a little bit. Was like a lot of this too, man. Like for me, anyways, is like just depending on like what type of draft like you're actually in. Because like the player and the players for me that like I look at as bust, like those are players that like I would just like I would not get to them in a snake draft just simply because the way that they're ranked on my board and the way that like everybody else views them. Like they would never make it back to me to justify like to get the pick. Like it just wouldn't happen. And going into this offseason, there was a couple of guys that I was just like, I don't want any parts of. And I know people are probably going to be like, oh, well, of course you're going to say this now. But like, I've been on record for saying I've been on record for saying this. Like, Jeremiah Love was a guy that like I just wasn't going to have any of. Like, I wasn't going to have any shares of him unless it is an auction format, right? Where like I could potentially get some type of like value for him. That's that would be like the only way that like I would end up with Jeremiah Love on my roster. And obviously, like the ankle injury, I don't know if you've seen, man, but he was bringing in pizza today into the into the facility, and people were like, "Oh, it looks pretty good." But I just did. I like this has zero to do about Jeremiah Love's talent, zero to do about his talent, right?
Yeah.
Like zero. But like
It's
when
where
you
he was
have
going, though. Where he's going in draft, too.
but not just that, when you have every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the running back room, like, dog, like, no, like I don't want anything to do with that. Like, I just don't want anything to do with that. Because it just leaves you so vulnerable. And like then you become married to the handcuff, because now you got to play the handcuff game, like, especially like if you were drafting him like where he was going originally, right? Like in the RB 10, 11 range, like you have to handcuff him. Like he's probably going to be your running back one, like if you take him. And I know obviously now like the injury kind of dulls thing down in that space, but he was just somebody that like I had no interest in drafting, at least not this year anyway. And I was very adamant last year about Ashton Genty in the same space. I was very adamant about like, if you're going to draft Ashton Genty, you might as well draft Omarion Hampton, right? Like there's no difference. Like the only difference was like the offensive scheme was better, and obviously the Chargers offensive line died before week 1. All right, but like we still like Ashton Genty is still a talent, right? But like Jeremiah Love was just a guy that like I just wanted no parts of in that space. And then like as far as for me, like quarterback, like I've said it before, again, and I'll say this again, and I'll even bring like even more context to the party here. Like on this, it's still Jackson Dart. For me, like it's still Jackson Dart. They want to run the ball. Does the New York Giants? They want to run the ball. He doesn't even average over 200 yards passing. Yes, I know what he gives you in the running game, but also too, the man had to be checked 5 times for a concussion last season. 5 times. Word to Booker T. He had to be checked 5 times for concussions last year.
Yep.
Literally, guys. So, like, okay, like, that's cool. Like, draft Jackson Dart. Like, please, like, dude, that's fine. But, like, please make sure, like, you have a competent and capable backup quarterback, because – like, you know what you're getting, like, in that space. So the thing that, like, that really, like, stood out for me, like, in a positive fashion, right? Because I'm not going to, like, just completely bang on the guy. But, like, he was third in scrambles. He was third among quarterbacks as far as carries inside the 5-yard line. And he scored on 4 of his non-rushing touchdowns were from that range. So, like, yes, he is a weapon inside of the red zone for sure. But obviously too, like, he didn't have the entire plethora of offense, right? So I got to thinking to myself, I was like, what would be a fair space to comp Jackson Dart as far as like maybe skill set? Like just right off the top of your head, like, and it's all good, man. But like if you had to like to comp a player in a situation for him, like what would be like just off the cuff, what would be a comp or a situation or a player that you would like be like, all right, like let me compare Jackson Dart to this player?
Ooh. Top of my head comparison for Jackson Dart. That's tough.
Okay, that's fine.
I would say like, I mean, honestly, Bryce Young right now before, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think Dart can be better than Bryce Young. But there's I see some of the same things going on with them in general. Or a younger Geno Smith, right? Before like Dart has more rushing ability right now. But he's someone that can also be in that same context. And then I think Daniel Jones, another Giants quarterback.
Okay. All right. Daniel Jones is probably the closer one. Like, I'll give you Daniel Jones. I think the other ones, I don't think so, just because like the mobility piece. I think Bryce moves around a little bit, but like not quite like Jackson Dart. So I actually was able to like come up with one, and they actually were in a very similar situation. So let's talk about Justin Fields in year 2 with Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
Pretty like, and so like I'm looking at this, right? And so like, not to like make this like a long drawn out like stat thing, right? Because obviously
Yeah.
Justin Fields was in his second, he was in his second year, right? He was in his second year. But it was the same sample size of games. So Justin Fields goes 3-12, Jackson Dart goes 4-8. Jackson Dart has a better completion percentage, barely more yardage than Justin Fields, 14 games versus 15. Passing yards per game were 162 for Dart, 149 for Fields, 15 touchdowns for Dart, 17 for Fields. Right, passer rating 91 for Dart, 85-2 for Fields. Rushing attempts, Fields obviously had more, 160, but Dart had 86. Like, it's there. Like it's definitely like, and I like I said, like I won't like go like on a stat rampage, but like if you want to, like for entertainment, like you can check it for yourself. Like they're very comparable in terms of like statistics for Jackson Dart, his first full year as a starter, and really Justin Fields in his first full year as a starter. So like there were some really good highs. There were some really high highs. With Justin Fields there his first year as a starter. There were some really high highs. Like I know there was like 2 weeks there where like he broke the slate every single week as a quarterback, and then like I was trying to chase that magic and it just didn't happen. So yeah, like I think that's like when I look at that, I think that's what I think in my mind. So with Justin Tucker trying out for the Saints, do you think he will beat Deshaun Watson?
Yeah. What? Yeah, no.
I am here for anybody to take a dump on AFC North players or AFC former North players that aren't Pittsburgh Steelers. Ryan B, much love to you, brother. Much love. Much love. Oh, shoot. All right. So what about sleepers, man?
I mean, yeah. So you got to go back to Bus because I didn't get a chance to really talk about Bus. We had that question, and then we got off that.
Bust who? Bust.
You're
Oh,
right.
bust. Gotcha. Yeah, I got you. Your bust? Gotcha. Go for it. I was like, what just happened?
It's okay, bro. What I was gonna say was when it comes to busts in general, like it's I don't want to say it's easy, but it is. But it's Quinshon Judkins for me. Like as much as I liked him last year, like in terms of where you got him, the problem I had with him was like he's just not a receiving back. And yeah, like the offensive line potentially improved a little bit for Cleveland. And yeah, like Judkins just a stud runner in general, like in terms of advanced metrics. But the problem with Judkins I have is just he just doesn't catch passes, and that's just for a team that's going to not be leading a ton in game scripts. That's just common sense. Like you don't want to grab a guy who is your overall leaning on as your a really overall RB2. Like it's something where overall just don't want to happen. So I would say for Judkins, like he's just someone I'm avoiding. Another guy that is on my bus radar, and it's just I like the situation. I just don't like the player because he's already gotten beat out by somebody in a committee before, and that's Rico Dowell. I'm sorry, that's Chuba Hubbard. So
I'm not tripping. I was like, because you went Jonathan Taylor, and so you just hit like the trifecta of bust.
Yeah. My bad.
I was like, I know I'm not crazy.
Names because I thought I didn't necessarily label Taylor as a bust, but it's more like he's just someone that I just never really get enough of. So he turned to me like it's just like the value for me is just someone that is just I just don't get enough of. Like there's other guys I end up grabbing, but I was just saying that in general. But what I was saying, just in. When it comes down like the quarterback bust, I mean, I just don't know how to feel about Mahomes, man. Like, He's someone that I just don't even want to grab, even at his current ADP, which is weird. Like, I'd rather just take somebody else. Like, I don't want to knock Mahomes. We all know, like, real life quarterback, he's amazing. The problem, though, is like the cast around him right now. Kenneth Walker already banged up, and it's like we haven't even started the season yet. Like, it's something that just, from the quarterback perspective, it's like I think KC, like from a real life perspective, I think will be doing well, but Mahomes for a fantasy quarterback over the last couple of years it's just not been pretty. I think people are buying into that bounce back, but I won't be one of those people.
Dude, he went. I actually took him in the second to last pick as my number 2 quarterback in that draft I was telling you about with these random guys that were on X with me that I
Sure.
know that
And that's
probably
a perfectly safe way to get that.
yeah, probably from the expo, right? But I just took him because I was like, this is literally going to be a draft where Patrick Mahomes doesn't get drafted. To your point. So I don't think you're the only person that feels like, no on Patrick Mahomes, man. So crazy. All right. So my mouse is crashing out over here. All right. So sleepers. We identified sleepers, quarterback, running back, one player from each position.
Yep.
With a current ADP after round 8.
Oh, that's pretty easy. So the 2 guys I have, first one we'll talk about is Jordan Love. Jordan Love, remember he was a QB5 in 2023. And then from there, like, we're talking about a cast in Green Bay now where it's less muddled now than it's ever been. Green Bay in general is Green Bay in general is they have to still fill in the void, right? They're leaving 100 plus vacated targets to the offense. So we're talking about now a cleaner setup for us fantasy players when it comes down to it. So when it comes down to, we have a passing attack of Christian Watson, Jaden Reed in the slot, and Matthew Golden if he could really step up as a boundary receiver, and then obviously Tucker Kraft. So when it comes down to it, I think Jordan Love is mistakenly being slept on, and I would put him in that same category as Golf, that he's like a sleeper, but also he's also a breakout to me too. Just because the quarterback position is so deep. So it's more like now I think Green Bay, because of that defense being a little bit more softer, we don't know exactly when Micah Parsons coming back for that defense yet. So that should predicate more on Jordan Love being, throwing the ball a bit more, obviously being more efficient, which he has been in the past. So that just comes down to, Jordan Love and this offense just being more efficient. And then if there's no news about Josh Jacobs, this helps the offense even more. So I do like Jordan Love, but especially where he goes. He goes after the Stafford and Goffs and everything. Him and Baker Mayfield could are pretty much neck and neck when it comes to this category. So that's what I got for Jordan Love. The sleeper RB, it's always tough grabbing a sleeper RB, but I went a little bit deeper than normal. It just makes sense, the setup for him. And it's just a wonky situation that I think people aren't just going to just take notice of immediately, but I'm banging the drum again for Braylon Allen. And for Braylon Allen, I think he's someone that everything checks the physical box, right? 250-pound running back that can have, that is also pretty quick. And when it comes down to it, we know what the Jets can be of this season, but with Breece Hall, I know they gave him the contract. I know they gave him that confidence. Can Breece Hall still be that guy? He definitely can. But I think, especially where Braylon Allen goes, I think we've already seen something happen to Breece Hall already. And the problem now is Braylon Allen, I feel like his price hasn't even really touched up even a little bit in most drafts. So I'll gladly take him as second to last pick or whatever, and just stash him for the season and see what happens. But you can't keep a guy like Braylon Allen just on your bench, not getting so much of the workload. I expect Braylon Allen to at least get anywhere from 8 to 10 touches, potentially 12 touches. Um, if the game script copes out for it, I know we have a lot of things that have to get there in order for Braylon Allen to be anything of like a decent like flex play for you every week. But I think the overall opportunity can definitely be there.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I'm a Brees Hall fan. Like I am. So like it's and
I know.
Braylon Allen. I feel like I've seen running backs that are like that are in the same build that are like physically like imposing, but just yeah. But like I mean, hey, is there a pathway for it? Sure. Like obviously, if the Jets are win a couple games, like obviously I think like he gets in there and it can be definitely a clock killer for sure. So like I don't hate it in any respect. Jordan Love, that's hilarious because we're literally 2 for 6 on these because that's actually who I had was
That's
Jordan Love.
crazy.
So that's actually comical. It's literally comical. It's comical. Um I won't like spend a bunch of time on Jordan Love stuff just because you already did, man. But like for me, just really to boil it down in a nutshell, this approach has already worked for Green Bay, spreading the ball around. When he had his best year, no wide receiver on that team had more than 70 catches or more than 800 yards. And obviously, you talked about Josh Jacobs. If he's not around, I think that kind of
That's crazy.
that definitely changes the dynamic of things for sure. He had a couple games last year where he finished as the number 2 quarterback overall. He had 5 top 12 finishes at the position. And really, just for Green Bay, it's just a matter of like if LaFleur chooses to be more of a passing offense when Jordan Love operated in a passing offense, Jordan Love was elite. There's no question about it. All right. And so like if this happens with Josh Jacobs as far as like any type of suspension or anything like that, we know what that typically does as far as like coming back, getting in game shape, right? So it might put Jordan Love in a situation where maybe I'm just being dramatic, just throwing a number out. If it's a 3-game suspension, maybe for the first 6 weeks, Jordan Love is absolutely on fire. I think there's a lot of things to go with that. I think this is the best pass catching group that he has ever had. Like when you look at like the other group, it was like Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed was there, Christian Watson, and
Romeo
Romeo
Dobbs.
Dobbs. Yeah, he was there as well. So I look at this group right now, right, and I think like, okay, like this group actually might even be better. So Jordan Love, and I've obviously already talked about Jordan Mason as my sleeper guy. I talked about him already. So yeah, so that's what we got, man. All right. So kind of working into like draft stuff here. Yeah, working into draft stuff here. So team names, man. Team names. Obviously I'm in a couple leagues with you. Talk a little bit about like team names and kind of like where you land at on that, man.
Sure, yeah. Coming in clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know what's going on. But I'm glad I'm coming in clear. Anyhow, when it comes to team names, man, like I think I've stuck with East Coast Renegades, and for me, it's like now recently moved, right? I might have to change that, but might have to change that. But when it comes to East Coast Renegades, Renegades to me comes off as rebel mentality. Come off as like in your face, like don't care what nobody else thinks, like that type of thing, like bravado. So taking that personality, obviously, as from real life into overall like our when it comes to fantasy football time, because you see me at the expos. You see me at the expos, talking my shit. So like, it's nothing new, but it's more like that's kind of like the swag I kind of bring to the game. But also it's like the funness of it. We always jaw at each other and stuff like that. It's like if you ain't first, you're last type of thing. So when it comes to team names, that's what's kind of like been there for me in general. Like that's kind of just what I stuck to over the years.
Dig that. Me, every team name I have changes every year. Like every year. Like I could never have the same team name. Like I just couldn't. It would drive me crazy.
Really?
Oh my god, dude! It would absolutely drive me insane. It would drive me insane to have the same team name for like every team. It would drive me absolutely crazy. It would drive me crazy. Yeah, like I typically like for me, like my team names, like I base it off like a lot of like, like what's going on in my life type of deal, like at the moment, right? Like you see my team name the other night, 426 Hawk Go Strong, right? Like that was for for my middle school football coach
Yeah.
that just recently passed away, man. Like that was the first time like I ever had like any type of like real life like responsibility and trust. Like he trusted me to call defense. And the hilarious part about me calling defense, this is actually comical. Like they know this, but like I've never told you this story, but like for people that's watching, it's great. So I'm in eighth grade, um, and I'm playing outside linebacker. And so they tell me, they're like, "Yo, Maribel, like you're calling plays." I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Okay." So about halfway through the season, man, like this is before disposable contact lenses. So one of my contacts tears, so like I can't see anything. So literally, like I'm in the huddle and like I'm looking at the sideline to get the play, but all I'm doing is having somebody else to like look at him to get the play, and I'm just running the play. And then like he was actually like a huge Steeler fan, man, and my whole thing always in middle school was like I wanted to be just like Cordell, wanted to play quarterback, running back, wide receiver, wanted to punt. Never got the chance to punt, but they actually did let me play quarterback, and he would always him and my head coach, they would always call me no foot action from the commercial. That's what they would always call it, no foot action. But like like it's stuff like that, man. It's like TV shows, man, that like I've been watching, man. I remember a couple just some random team names that just come off the top of my head. Harlem's Paradise, Luke Cage. That was
Yeah,
that was
baby.
that was a great show.
Yeah, baby.
That was a great show, dude. That was a great show. That was a great show. So Harlem's Paradise, yeah, Harlem's Paradise. That was one of my favorite ones.
Okay.
The Bay Harbor Butcher when I was watching Dexter.
Of course.
I'm trying to think about like what else. I've had a couple spinoffs of The Wire.
Yep. He
Had a
got it.
couple, yeah. I've had a couple spinoffs of those. I'll probably do something around like Raising Canaan. One of my team names will probably be something like Streets, but it'll probably be something like Streets Need a Body. You know what I mean? So like that's how, and like anything like wrestling related, if something crazy
Well,
like
yeah.
happens in wrestling, like one of my team names is a defended champ in one league is the original tribal chief. So like that's how I get,
Reigning
man.
champ, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Like I just know the OTC, baby, the original tribal chief. So like that's how I get there, like on names, man. But that's always like one of my favorite parts is just to like take like a couple of hours, look at my roster, and be like, all right, like this team is gonna be this right here. That's how I always get there, man. So it's kind of fun. What about draft order for you, man? I know you
yeah.
you did some Don King draft order stuff, man, in your league. So go ahead and tell us how you
No
know.
idea what I'm talking about, by the way.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't, Don King.
Definitely
Of course,
don't.
of course you don't.
Definitely don't. But
Of course not.
I just magically got that number one pick.
Of course.
But I'll just say this: when it comes down to draft order, you might as well just announce it already. I'm just taking Jahmyr Gibbs. But it comes down to it, like draft order, like when it comes, like in terms of, like, because the duck races are always fun to do, yo. I'm just saying, the duck races are always crazy. So that's where I got that idea a couple of years back, like in another league that we were doing, like, well, we're gonna do the duck race. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
It's a duck race.
Like, oh, it's just a randomized order for the ducks. So I was like, oh, okay, well, why not? Whatever. I think I got like fifth or whatever in the duck race or whatever. But it's like a computerized simulation of the duck races. So I always find that cool. Because like it used to be names in a hat or whatever, stuff like that for draft order and stuff. So, but I like the duck race when it comes to draft order. That's just kind of like it's kind of cool to do. Obviously, I know you're an auction guy and everything, stuff like that. Is there something that you do or y'all do in general when it comes to auctions to decide draft order or picking player or whatever?
No, like pick order doesn't really matter, man. Like, yeah, like I'm not the commissioner of any snake leagues. I kind of would like to because I think there's so many unique ways now to be able to decide draft orders. Obviously, like there's 18-0 to be able to decide those things. Like we met those guys, man, a couple years ago that had what was it? Generations.
Registrations.
Yeah, generations. Like, you have that type of deal, man, to be able to to come up with things. I think there's just like a lot of really like unique ways. I think, and man, dude, shout out Joe Frick real quick, man. Like he's always,
Hey,
hey, I always see it, man. He's always got some like like crazy like thing, man, to be able to like decide like orders on stuff, man. So like I think that's kind of cool. It just kind of it doesn't suck, but it does kind of suck that like I kind of pigeonholed myself into like auction drafts like as the commissioner because like I can't do anything like really unique like to decide draft order, and then like in the and then in the like well because draft order doesn't matter in an auction league. It don't matter. Like
yeah,
it don't matter. But then like the snake drafts that like I'm in, some of the guys, it's we for my home league, I told them about generations, and they're like, oh well, what about like, well, how do you know like what game it is? I was like, that's the thing, bro. It's like you don't know like what game, and they're like, nah. I was like, man, come on, man, like just live a little bit,
I'm about to say live a little bit.
but like we like in my home league, like with those guys, man, like last year, like we just kind of similar to duck races, right? Like we just picked like everybody picked a song, and they played it on Spotify, and like we the home leagues, man, it's like this league it's so hilarious, man. I could go on and on for like stories, but like long story short, like I met these guys through work, and they're like, all right, like come be in our league. So like come to find out, dude, they literally live at the end of my street at the time. So I go up there. So you can imagine me. I go up there, and this guy walks up to me. He's like, hey, like, my name is such and such. I was like, yo, like, what's up? And they're like, but we don't actually know his name because I wasn't like, oh, hey, my name's John. I was just like, yo, what's up? Right.
Yeah.
And so like the entire time, like they were like, we don't know this guy's name. Like they just called me my email handle, which was hilarious. So now like when I walk into the bar, they still call me, refer to me by my email handle. And like we walked in like one night and my kids were like,
Yeah.
Dad, they're like, Dad, why did they call you that? I was like, but yeah, so like we do that. And then some of the other ones they just kind of like let the randomized order just happen. But like, I'm out here giving feedback to make it better because I think like that's the whole part of it, man. It's like to make it, entertaining and to make it fun, man, for sure.
Yeah.
So but yeah, like that's like talking about like local leagues, man. Like that's what I got like this weekend. I've got let me make sure get this right. So I'm so excited because I got tomorrow off.
Hey,
I work one day
have
on
yourself a
Friday.
drink, buddy.
How? Word to my goat. Don't worry about what's in my cup. You know what I mean? Word to my goat. Don't worry about what's in don't worry about what's in my cup. But like yeah, so work Friday, man, and then after Friday, we typically have that big auction draft, and we typically have it on Friday, but it just didn't work, so we had to move it to Sunday. But Saturday, man, if this sciatica, man, if I can get it right, I'm gonna go golfing on Saturday morning. I got a dynasty draft on Saturday morning, and then Saturday night we have the big draft for the local home league. Sunday morning, one of my daughters has a soccer game, so I'll be at that. Hopefully, recouping, and then this stuff gets real, man. At 1 o'clock, I got another local. I got a local draft with one of my buddies, man, at his house, and he always does a really good job at putting on a good show for everybody. And then I have my big auction draft. We rented out like the back room at one of the local bars to hang out and chop it up there. And then hopefully, well, not even hopefully, at that point in time, I'm probably going to have Mrs. Main come pick me up and, get on here and chop it up. And absolutely slay it from, I guess, I don't even remember the 6th spot or the 9th spot. I don't even remember what spot I'm drafted in your league. But like, yeah, we're gonna get on here and slay it, man. So this draft week, man, and this is like the most exciting week. This is like Christmas for me right here, man.
This is like Christmas, he said.
It is, bro. It is, man. It is.
That's dope for sure. Yeah, when it comes down to draft season, like it's obviously something. We're in it. Actually, shout out to Haywood because we're currently doing a slow draft right now. So we got the best ball. We got the best ball draft going right now in our slow draft. So we'll tell you about those teams in general, how they kind of somewhat panned out, and we'll let you guys know about that. Draft season for me, I obviously, the league I commission, we will be here Sunday night to do it live, baby. We're gonna do it live. We're gonna have a special start time, 8 p.m. EST, with a special guest that we're gonna reveal at a later time. But he will be here Sunday with us. So that's gonna be dope. Looking forward to the league that my half point PPR league that I want to chip in. So the second one in the last like 5 years. I needed it. I trapped. It's a keeper league, so I had to trade away some of my draft capital, and then some of the keepers I have is kind of like holding my draft picks like now hostage. So I won't be drafting for a bit in that league, but I'm looking forward to it. My keepers are Bijan Robinson and Chase Brown, so it was still worth it in the end.
How long do you let them? How long do y'all keep players in that one?
So we have a system in which, if I'm sure we'll restart at some point, but you can keep every year the round goes up one. So, for example, like Chase was drafted not drafted, but like he was like a 9th round keeper. So now he's like elevated up to like I think like the 4th round or something like that now. But as long as you have that pick to override it stops when you have the 1st round, right? So, for example, right, I have Bijan Robinson, like that's the 1.12 for me because that's where he was drafted. So I give him my 1st round pick already to have him.
Yeah.
And Chase Brown was drafted.
Yeah, I was just curious about like the cap on stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like as far as like a keeper.
But if someone drops to the free agency, like a big name player or whatever, like so for example, somehow idiotically someone dropped Justin Jefferson in our league. So now he's a last round keeper.
Yeah. See, for my auction leagues are keeper leagues.
Yeah.
And so one of them is just like it's one of them like the lesser auction league has been 10% no cap. The big auction league for me is 20% added on each year, but you can only keep them for 3 years. So you can get up to 60%, but it's only a 3-year cap. And even like if a player is drafted in this one, wherever they're drafted, or like however much it is that they're drafted, that's how much it is. So like somebody dropped Mike Evans last year, like at one point because of injuries, right? And I think it was like $37, but like it shows up as like 0. But I was like, okay, like one of these has been for 10 years, the other's been for like 15. I'm like, all right, like this is the best way to like make it fair, because otherwise, like you said, like you kind of end up like a situation like you're talking about where it's like, like somebody drops, a baller, and it's like, oh, well, he's free. And like, but it
don't matter. We still gonna whoop that. We still whoop that.
Yeah, but like, man, but you know what it does though, man. It just like, like as a commissioner, you have to like eliminate like the collusion. Oh, you're not. Oh, I thought you said you were. Okay, gotcha.
No, you can't get on me about that. No.
Yeah, I was like, damn. I was like, man, what kind of organization you running, man? I was like, that sound Bush League. That sound Bush League.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I was
trying to set me up. No,
I thought that's what you said. You said you said okay. You said my half point per. I was like,
yeah.
Y'all letting this go on? Y'all letting this go on?
No, but go ahead. You can send an email.
Nah, listen, man. I don't want nothing to do with that, man. After last year's #1 seed overall shenanigans, I'll pass on that one, homie.
Yeah, same. But I would say this, so I'm really excited to repeat on these Fs. But it's gonna be fun. That's not until unfortunately next week, but that's what I got in general. And then I was hoping that we could get the Cookout League going, but it doesn't look like that's gonna happen.
Well, it looks like we might have Rips League though.
I hit him up about that too, and I wasn't sure about that either. So
really,
I don't know.
All right, well, if that's the case, then I guess we just gonna have to just shoulder for the community then.
Pretty much,
yeah. All right. If you're a commissioner of 2, what's the difference of being a commissioner of 3?
Sure. You said the difference of being a commissioner of what?
If you're the commissioner of 2, what's the difference in being a commissioner of 3?
I know.
Yeah.
Literally. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. What's the difference? Yeah. Told you, man. Y'all talk too much, man. It's time to start putting this stuff in action. So if this Cookout thing ain't happening, this Rip thing ain't happening, then like maybe that's just what it is, man. That's what it is.
I know. So like you said, draft season is obviously like looking forward to it every year. And obviously, it's even more like, you talk mad junk to the people that you're around the most. So it's cool. Um, but yeah, that's what I got for the drafts in general upcoming. Like I said, looking forward to our Sunday night live draft this Sunday night.
Yeah.
It's gonna be off the chain here. It's
Yeah,
gonna
it
be nuts.
is, man.
It's gonna be
It
nuts.
is. It's gonna that one's gonna be pretty fun, man. That's gonna be pretty fun. So all right, man. Well shit. That's time for us, man. We're about what are we? About 2 weeks out from everything here. I was trying to
Crazy.
click on the yeah, about 2 weeks out from everything, man. And like we still ain't done like with guests. Like obviously, like we have a
Nope.
special guest like on Sunday, and we even have like, we have another one lined up as well.
Next week.
So we'll continue to keep dropping straight gas, all gas, no brakes. You know what I mean? But yeah, like with that being said, man, you know what it is, man. It's me, it's the homie Johnny Main, my brother from another mother, Nick Wilcox. It is the Fantasy Football Show. If you did not like and subscribe, make sure you do and tell your friends about us. We out. Peace.